Rock on to my peeps in the front. Rock on to my peeps in the back. Rock on to my peeps down the side. Rock on, and we do it like that. Rock on to my peeps in the front. Rock on to my peeps in the back. Rock on to my peeps down the side.
So I've got the suspension out, front suspension. That's pretty much how it sits in the truck, twin I-beam. Gives you a bit of an idea of, for those not familiar with it, how it looks in there. And now that that's out, you would have seen me with a plasma cutter. We've got a couple of their rails here. It was a bit of a mission getting all that stuff out from in there. It was cleaned up fairly well. There was a large bracket through here behind the cross member that was bracing for the steering box. But yeah, that's all gone. So that leads me to this. This is the new front end for it. So we'll stick the camera up on the wall and get into opening this up and seeing what we've got. So this kit is from a place called Car Guy's Garage over in Melbourne. They make this from scratch. They do a lot of F100 projects. They do a lot of hot rod building. Excuse me. They have a page on Facebook. I'll put the link in the description. I looked at quite a few options in regards to front ends. The twin I-beam setup, it still handles okay for what it is, but it's old and you just can't get them low. And fitting rack and pinion steering is doable. It's an expensive exercise, but you still can't get it low. Charlie Dixon, his F100, he's shared with his channel on YouTube, Driving with Dixon. He's just had a retro rack fitted to his steering rack. Very nice bit of gear. So you can, it is possible to go that route with these. But I want a combination of rack and pinion steering and the ability to drop the drive right down. This is the main frame. Boxing plates fit inside the rails. They're profiled to match the original rails, and they do different ones for different trucks. So this one is to suit the 67 F100. These are designed to take BA Falcon suspension, so lower top arms, steering rack, brakes and everything like that. So it's all off the shelf, easy to get cheap parts for it. And big brakes are easy to get hold of. Falcon wheels, run wheels. It does have a slightly wider track than the factory, but it's still a lot narrower than the Crown Vic front end that everyone uses, so you don't have very, very shallow flat wheels sitting right under your guards. It still sucks it in a little bit. So that sits inside the rail, and these fit in here and set up on top of the rail as well. So lower arms mounted under here, top arms come off here, coil over, mounts onto these plates. That's 8mm plate, 6mm plate. It's all laser laser cut, CNC laser cut. Nice and strong. Yes, this is my first unboxing video. So these brackets here are for the sway bar mount. They sit under, further back under the rails. So there's detailed instructions with this. That is the lower coilover bracket which sits on your arms when you've got them. That's another sway bar bracket. These here are that bolts onto, I think this is the top arm brackets or the coilover, I'm not too sure. They might all be the same. Little stamped with numbers. Marked with numbers. This is the profile cut. So this here would be the top coilover mount, which comes off there. This will make a lot more sense when I start piecing it all together on the truck. So the rest is just same brackets as these, and these are simply replacement coilovers just to hold it all together while you're setting it all up in the truck. So you can have it sitting on those instead of, if you haven't got your coilovers yet. A shock. So it's all the correct grade 8 or stronger hardware. All bolting all the arms on. All marked out so I know what's what. I do have the, I was emailed the fitting instructions, which are very, very detailed for these, and I've been dealing with Mark, the owner of Car Guy's Garage, and he's been excessively helpful both with organising this and information for the engineers that I'm using. Any questions, happy to answer the phone, have a chat. I can't recommend it highly enough. But, I'll clean this up and we'll have a look at just sitting in place so we've got an idea of what's going on. And the width of this thing, 750 odd. It sort of changes in places just because of the way it's packaged. It's around about 750. The rails, they don't have straight edges, so I've already gone through and cut the top rail, squared that up all nice. So I've got a got the right size all the way through here. But the bottom of the rail, it's got some funky bits sticking out. I've only just got to take the edge off that. I may have to add some material through here, and a slightly different shape so that this side's got a slightly different curve to this side, just. But along here is the right width, so I've just got to cut those out to match the top, and then the overall width will be okay. And then I've got to go through, so these two sections here, that's the bottom of the rail, I've got to notch part of the rail out to go around that, So that's the center of the axle there. So I've got to cut a square out of there, and there'll be one up here as well somewhere. So I've got to make a template of the inside of the boxing plate and then offer it up to the rail so I can check those. But as soon as I've cut the inside of the rail, I can offer up that cross member into here, jack it up underneath, and just check that it just fit up there quite nicely, and we'll go from there. But it's getting close. I won't be welding it in straight away. I'm just doing the cutting and checking and having a bit of a play. Then that's got to come off at some stage. So, and I've got a trolley to put the whole frame onto and bolt it to. So that's the next step after just cutting out this front. Okay, so the front cross member is sitting in the kit's sitting between the rails. It's just loosely in place. It's in the right spot through here. You can these little locating tabs make it sit so it doesn't pop under the rail while you're welding, holds it in place. You can do a nice big weld between those two surfaces there, and then clean it all off afterwards. This side I haven't quite got in the right place. I've just got to clamp it, lift it up with a clamp, pull it in a little bit. In the instructions it mentions you may want to do some pie cutting on the front of the rails, depending how low you want to go. I've gone to a Wreckers and an auto dismantlers, picked up some a lower front arm and an upright and some top control arms for a BA or AU, what this kit uses. Due to this frame here, I can't swing that right round at the moment, but I have set everything up so I can just check heights. Now that looks nice and low there. It's not low enough for what I want. That would be fine for, or more than adequate for everyday use, cruising. But I want to have the options of being able to airbag it later and maybe lay frame, set the rockers down. On these trucks, if you're not doing a cab drop or channel, the sill along the bottom of the door does sit higher than under the rail here, so that's the lowest point apart from that cross member. That cross member is going, making a new one, so that will then be my lowest point. But the car guy's front sits a bit lower than here. Still plenty for normal driving. Also, I haven't got it clamped up in place at the moment, so there's that gap there. It will lift up into there. But I do want to go lower. I have got that wheel sitting there. If I can get it in the shot, that back wheel, that is sitting at the equivalent height of laying that low point of the frame on the ground. So that top piece of wood that tyre is sitting on there, that's 420mm off the concrete. At the moment, the bottom of the new cross member is 420mm off the concrete. So that's all sitting level on the rails pretty much. That's how it will be on the ground. But then this fella here is sitting a whole lot lower. This distance here is 270, so with that being under there 420, I said 150mm difference. So I need to, if I want to have that on the ground, I've got to lift this 150mm. To do that, I have to start messing with the rail here. So this is the pie cut section they're talking about. Let's take this wheel off. So that would be for a static drop without modifying anything. That's probably a good height, but I want to go lower. So I've got to, once this is lifted up into place, I've then got to do a pie cut here, which I've roughly marked several times. So I'll cut a triangle out of here, fold the bottom up to here, and then weld that, and that will make this bottom part of the rail here level with this part. So it'll get rid of this curve, it'll just be straight through. And then the front, because the front hangs down a little bit lower, the rail hangs down lower than the crossmember. Remembering this crossmember's got to be lifted up a little bit. I'm doing a little pie cut here to lift this corner up. So this will come down and then level out, match up to this. And I also have to cut a little bit out of, scallop a bit out of this out to match this. These, it does say in the instructions, and it's fairly common sense, these are made a little bit longer to allow for variances in chassis, frame widths, that sort of thing. So afterwards you just trim these nice and almost flush, fill it with weld. So hopefully that'll square that up nicely. That gives me another 20 odd mil above there. So 20 mil there should be a lot of movement out here. That's the theory. So I'm going to cut that now, and then we'll have another look. So I've cut a pie cut triangle out of this and this side. I've clamped this side up, so that's this lifting up. I've cut that one up there, lifted it. Then I'll lift this back up and mark that, then drop it down again. Give this a trim, both sides. Lift this up, chuck the arm back in, and see how much more that's given us. I won't fully weld that yet, I'll just tack it because there may be a chance I have to do a bit of trimming underneath. I can cut, instead of lifting this whole corner up, if I have to take any more off, I'll cut a little bit up under here to clearance, and then I can fill that in afterwards. Also just gave these holes a little bit of a clean up. I'll run a drill through them, and then I can fill those guys up, so when this front end's painted and everything, it's not full of all these bloody holes. The crossmember's back up in place, marked along here, down under here. This section here is where the arm will hit the suspension arm when that lifts up. It'll be a contact point under there, so I'm just going to take that back around to a nice cutout. That'll be easy to see when it's out. And this one here, there's no clearance issues, but I'm not going to leave this corner sticking out here, and this has to be trimmed anyway. We'll just clean that up. So I'm going to drop the crossmember now, trim those up, and then put it back and see how it looks with the arm. Apologies for the awful light and the background noise from the rain. It's got a bit darker out. So I've done a fairly basic pie cut through there, trimmed the edge of the cross members. The truck is sitting substantially lower. The bottom of the tyre is still 60 mil below the bottom of the cross member. I will throw up a photo of me holding a guard in place. But now there's just that corner there touching under there. It's close through there, but there's still a gap. I'm just going to take a bit more out of here, down the bottom here, and that'll give me a little bit more room. And also, I don't know if you can see down the back cross member, it's just touching, so I'll just notch there a little bit. I'm not too fussed if it sits against the chassis at full droop. It won't be driven at that low, it can't drive it that low. So if this gap here closes right up and it's sinks against there, that's not going to be an issue. So when I get a chance, I'll do that back cross member, just the edge of that and this corner, and check it again. So it just gives you a bit of view with the wheel off there of what I've done, what sort of room I'm working with. I could probably go a bit lower. I'll next time I have a go at this, I'll see what else I can do. I don't want to do any more pie cutting on there, but doing those two corners will make a big difference as well. If it sits on the rail, that's cool. There's a bit of room through there I can mess with. But yeah, it's static. I'm fine with those arms sitting on the rails. I'll cut this one off here. I've got to go away for work for a little while, so bit of isolation, that sort of thing. I'll try and keep these reasonably regular, but I'm not sure when the next one will be, so if you subscribe you'll get a notification when that happens, I guess. Thanks for hanging around if you're still here. Hope you're enjoying it, and I will see you next time. Thanks guys.